Dear students, in our counseling sessions, it is sometimes the question of whether psychotherapy is needed due to mental illness, and our counseling services can be used to become clearer about this. Often, students already know that they want to look for professional psychotherapy and have questions about the search process. We therefore give you some tips and information from our counseling practice to support you on your way towards finding a psychotherapist. Of course, this video is not supposed to prevent you from contacting us personally. Is psychotherapy covered by the insurance? Let's start like this. Germany has a healthcare system providing medical as well as psychotherapeutic help to patients in need. If you have a statutory health insurance, in German gesetzliche Krankenversicherung, the costs for psychotherapy are covered by the insurance as far as you find a psychotherapist that is licensed and trained in one of the scientifically accepted treatment procedures and sees the need for treatment due to a mental illness. The frequency of the sessions may vary depending on the procedure and treatment needs. For statutory health insurance, you will find uniform regulations regarding the extent to which therapeutic sessions with a licensed psychotherapist are approved. If you have a private health insurance, you should first ask your health insurance company to what extent and under what conditions outpatient psychotherapy is covered, because that depends on the scope of the particular insurance policy. Because private health insurance benefits are not subject to universal regulation. Some private health insurance companies generally do not pay for psychotherapy. If you want to inform yourself about different health insurance and their conditions, you can contact our social counseling of the Studierendenwerk. You will find the contact details at the end of this presentation. How do I find the right psychotherapy? There are currently 4 scientifically accepted treatment procedures: behavioral therapy, psychodynamic psychotherapy, psychoanalytic therapy, and systemic therapy. These 4 forms of therapy use different methods and set a different emphasis on the therapy. At the end of the video, you will find a link to the brochure Path to Psychotherapy, which among others gives a short description of different forms of therapy on page 45 till 49. In general, it can be said, different ways lead to different goals, and psychotherapy in all these procedures is effective. It has been proven that one of the most important components for positive change or the effectiveness of psychotherapy mentioned above is the therapeutic relationship. This means that a trusting contact and a therapeutic working alliance can be formed with each other, and this can only be found in personal contact. How do I search for psychotherapists? There are 2 websites where you can search for the addresses of practice, which we would like to introduce you at this point. Here you can be assured that all those that are subsequently listed are licensed practitioners and thus entitled to represent themselves as psychotherapists. psych-info.de is the website of the Psychotherapeutenkammer, so the State Chambers of Psychotherapists, and works like this. First, you enter your postal code and obtain a list of psychotherapists in your area, and then you can use the filter function to narrow down your search individually. You can make a selection as we have indicated here. For example, you can choose single therapy for adults, and you can decide for one of the 4 therapeutic treatment procedures. If you have statutory health insurance, it makes sense to check yes in the box for health insurance and no for cost reimbursement process. If the gender is important to you, you can narrow it down. And then it's important to specify that you're looking for a therapist that provides therapy in English or another language of your preference. Alternatively, in individual cases, you can check the box for psychotherapy with language mediator. If you are privately insured, you can ask your health insurance company for conditions and ask if you can also search for therapists who are not licensed. Click on Search, and then you will find a selection of psychotherapists arranged as a map and view list, which you then can click on. Then there's also the website patienten.kwhb.de. This is the website of the Kassenärztliche Vereinigung, meaning Regional Association of Statutory Health Insurance Physicians. There you can first click on Search and then on the field Psychotherapeuten, meaning psychotherapists. There you will find contact data of medical psychotherapists with a psychiatric or psychosomatic specialization, as well as psychological psychotherapists that you can also find on the website before. Here you can make a selection as suggested, and you will receive a corresponding list. A click on the name reveals further information, including the office hours for making appointments. How do you get to know the psychotherapist? The step of contacting a psychotherapist is relatively simple because you do not need a referral and can just contact the psychotherapist by telephone or, if offered, by email. However, you should be prepared for a different challenge that can involve a high effort. It may take several phone calls because there's a high demand for psychotherapy, and this can lead to waiting times and admission stops. That's why we want to give you a few more tips for the search process. Since psychotherapists often do not have a secretary, they often have only short office hours for making appointments, and sometimes these are different than indicated on the website. Therefore, it can help to make a list of the selected psychotherapists, to write down the current office hours that you can find on their answering machines, and to proceed systematically and contact them in those office hours. If you cannot understand what they're saying in German on the answering machine, maybe you can ask someone for help. Do not be discouraged by refusals. Before contacting a psychotherapist, it can be helpful to think about answers of the following questions yourself. What is currently bothering me? What is my concern? And what do I want to work on at therapy? You should also state your health insurance, so whether you have a statutory or private insurance, and the fact that you are currently studying, because the associated flexibilities in terms of time can be an advantage. If you are then invited to an initial consultation, the so-called psychotherapeutic consultation oder psychotherapeutische Sprechstunde, you will only need your health insurance card, or you should tell them about your private health insurance conditions. If this is followed by the so-called probationary or trial sessions, you should pay attention to whether you feel comfortable opening up to the psychotherapist, whether the chemistry between you is right, and whether you think you can work together. Meanwhile, the psychotherapist will be determining whether you are a good fit for therapy and whether them can offer treatment that is right for you. Sometimes uncertainties or questions arise. Here we would like to encourage you to address them. If you both agree, you must then once be examined by the general practitioner to determine whether your psychological difficulties have a physical cause. The psychotherapist will then send a written proposal to the insurance company. If psychotherapy is approved, you can start treatment. If you don't have a general practitioner yet, you can find one via the website of the Kassenärztliche Vereinigung, the one we showed to you earlier. Now you only have to click on Hausärzte instead of Psychotherapeuten, make a selection, and you will find a list. What can you do if searching for therapists turns out to be difficult? If you are covered by statutory health insurance, you can make yourself understood in German, and if you cannot find an appointment for an initial consultation, there is an appointment scheduling center called Terminservicestelle. By calling the number 116 117, you should get an appointment for a psychotherapeutic consultation within 4 weeks. This does not necessarily lead to a longer treatment, but can offer orientation and assistance. Here are now some helpful links for your process of finding psychotherapy, and you can also find them in the video description. We have introduced you to these websites for lists of psychotherapists in Bremen. Here you can also find a general practitioner in Bremen. With this link, you can find psychotherapists for Niedersachsen. General information about psychotherapy and also about the different treatment procedures can be found here. If you need information on health insurances, you can contact the social counseling of the Studierendenwerk. And contact addresses for emergency can be found in this link. Do you still have some questions in mind? Then it might be a good idea to visit our counseling service despite the initial information in the video. Please feel free to contact us via our secretariat.